So welcome everyone. This is our beginner breakdown for supported headstand. Yeah. Of course, this class does not have a time limit. It's just kind of whenever I finish explaining everything. And otherwise, yeah, let's get started. So you are going to need a wall that you are able to go up against. So nice open wall, no art or anything in the way. And then I'm going to also show you a couple things with a yoga blanket that you can use to modify and do some prep work with the pose as well. So supported headstand in Sanskrit is Salamba Sirsasana or Sirshasana, depending on how you kind of pronounce it. Sa means with, alamba, support, so salamba. And sirs is head, and asana is pose, so head pose, supported head pose. Hello. All right, this pose is considered the king of yoga postures. Paint me there. And I wanted to make sure I give you the cautions for the pose, right? So these are the things that if you have these issues, you might either not practice the pose at all, or you're going to be very, very careful and maybe only going to the beginning variations of the pose and never really extending into the full version. So if you have neck and shoulder issues or injuries, you want to be very, very careful with the pose. If you have migraines or kind of persistent headaches, or you're suffering from a headache at the moment, you'll probably want to avoid the pose. Children under 7 are advised to not do supported headstand because the skull hasn't fully hardened yet, and with the weight on the head, it can just cause some problems. If you're pregnant, do not do this pose because of the risk of falling, right? If you have high blood pressure, do not do this pose, or be careful with the pose. I would say kind of the blood pressure thing is a little bit glaucoma or eye issues, you want to avoid the pose. There is a debate, of course, not debate really, but there's a belief period that you don't do any upside down or inversion poses because your body's trying to do on a period is go flushing out, right? Gravity, and when you go into inversion, pulls the other way, and it kind of prevents the flushing, the natural flushing your body's trying to do. So that's one, but some people are like, yeah, it's fine. You know, so if it feels good, if you want to do it, go for it. It is said that if you are suffering from depression or if you are not sleeping well, that this pose may not be the best for you as well. But again, that's kind of debatable. Some people say this pose helps with depression and helps you to sleep. So it's going to kind of be how it feels for you and your individuality and your personal body. Also, caution if you have an ego. This pose, if you're not getting it right away, that's okay. Don't rush and don't force it or anything. No expectations of your body in this. This is just a breakdown. You can always refer back to this video for the break for as you progress and how to keep going. Yeah. And of course, if you have any questions, you can always just ask. You can chat. And if you want me to see you, you can put your video on, but you don't have to. So let's go into the benefits of the pose. This is an inversion, and inversion poses are anything that kind of go the opposite way of where they would normally be. So if my arms were like this, my arms are in an inversion. If I was on my back and my legs were just up in the air against a wall or just kind of relaxed waterfall pose, my legs would be in inversion. This is a full body inversion. Everything is tilted up. So what that does is it makes your heart have to work a little bit differently to pump the blood through the body. So they call it reversal of blood circulation. I know that's not quite accurate, but it just has to work differently. So it's good for your circulatory system. It increases circulation, especially to the brain. You get a big blood rush flush into the brain. So it is improves focus, makes you more alert. It can boost energy. It'll definitely strengthen your core. You'll feel it. Your shoulders, your arms will get strengthened. There are some beliefs that it will help to grow hair. Your head, have your hair to grow. And some people believe it actually reverses gray hair. Again, this is not scientific fact. It's more just kind of belief, right? So it's believed that the blood rush stimulates the scalp, kind of makes the scalp healthy, and it promotes hair growth, right? But not a fact, not scientifically proven, but hey, whatever you want. Sinus clearing. I love headstand for when I am congested. It works just like an allergy pill, but faster and better, but it doesn't last as long, right? So it's only gonna last, it's very temporary. When you do a full headstand, you hold it for a little bit, and you come out, the flush and then the reverse flush, everything clears up. If you have a sinus infection is different. If you're just congested, then it's like, it totally clears you out. It's awesome. Last thing, this also pose, it stimulates, and most inversions do this as well. They stimulate your lymphatic system, which is your body's way of ridding the body of toxins, which is great. So it'll boost your immune system. And then it's also believed, because of the inversion of it, it's believed to remove mucus from the lungs, from like the low part of the lungs, right? So chest congestions and things are kind of stuck down. They say it improves digestion. So lots and lots of good things, but really it's just kind of a fun pose. All right. So I have all my notes so I don't forget anything. Yeah, okay, cool. Very good. Oh, let me make sure I have my sound on just in case you ask a question. There we go. It wasn't on before. Sorry if you were asking something I didn't hear you. So if you had a question, you can ask it again. All right. So of course, first we want to do some prep work, right? And let me unfold my mat. Some prep work for the pose. Doing these little prep works are going to help strengthen you for the pose itself, help kind of like drills to develop the body. And it's also going to be a great way to kind of check in with yourself to make sure that your body's ready for the pose and that you don't have any kind of underlying little injuries that you didn't know about. And then so if you rush into the pose or anything, then you like hurt yourself there because you didn't know you had an issue. So these are the great drills. And I'm going to fix the camera actually just a little bit. I'm going to turn it down just a touch more. Sorry, we're moving, so I have all this stuff everywhere. I'm trying to keep the stuff off camera. This box there. Okay. All right. So one simple thing we can do, just have a comfortable sitting position. You're going to have your hands, interlace your hands on the back of your head and bring your elbows in a little bit. So this already is kind of similar to the pose of how your body looks when you go down to the ground. You're going to press the head into the hands and the hands push back into the head. So you're going to create some resistance. Right there, you're feeling activation through your triceps. There's activation in your neck, and there's activation through the shoulders. So this is a great little way to kind of gently strengthen and prep the body. You could bring a little bit of movement into this to stretch out your triceps. You'll let your heart lift, your head, your arms, keeping those arms in, right? Don't let them spread out to the side. Keep them in. And then you can come back to center. And that can go with your breath. Just a nice inhale to lift. And exhale to center. Let's do it one more time. Inhale. The amount of pressure is up to you. You are creating the resistance. And center. And release. Give a gentle little releasing stretch for the neck. So that is a wonderful way to kind of help prep things a little bit. It gives you kind of a feel for the shape of the body a touch. From here, we're going to do a little cat-cow. So you're going to come into all fours. Now first, actually, what I like, before the cat-cow, really want to emphasize shoulder push-ups, right, or shoulder extensions. So as we're here, you can also be on your fists if your wrists are bothering you. When you inhale, you're going to draw the shoulders back, kind of a sinking down into the shoulders, so kind of just like a squeeze along your upper back. And when you exhale, you're going to push the shoulders apart along the back, right? So you're going to inhale, squeeze the shoulders in, and exhale, push the shoulders apart. Keep it going. Because it's really important to be able to feel the difference between sinking into the shoulders and pushing out of the shoulders. Because that push out is with you in your headstand. It's actually with you in a lot of poses in yoga. So it's, again, that feeling of knowing when you're sinking and knowing when you're pushing and being able to activate those muscles on demand. All right, find your cat-cows. Inhale, drop the belly, open the heart, squeeze the shoulders back. As you exhale, pull the belly in, round your spine, kind of that same pushing of the shoulders apart, head down. Keep it going, your breath. As you're rolling around in your cat-cows, you can always find some movement in the hips, neck. You can find a little bit of a flow. Just kind of dive in. But what this is doing is it's helping us to warm the body, right? So we're kind of pushing through the arms. You're warming up your arms, your shoulders. We're warming our spine, our back muscles, our core muscles, especially with that exhale. Pull in through your belly. Big squeeze. This feeling of the rounding of the spine, the cat pose, you want to pay attention to that feeling because that pull in, that squeeze, and that rounding, that's going to be with you later. So being able, again, to know how that feels and to be able to activate that same muscle contraction when needed. And return to neutral and come back onto your sit bones. So if you want to, you can roll the wrist out a little bit. And the thing we're going to do here is we're going to have our legs straight out in front of us, sitting tall. You can have your hands back behind you to kind of help you sit. And all we're going to do is some thigh rolls, right? So we're going to go out, in, out, in. So we're going to roll the thighs out and then roll them inward toward each other. You're going to feel a big squeeze into the hips and thighs. So inhale out, exhale, squeeze. Keep going. If you want to go faster, it's okay. If you want to go slower, you can. This inward squeeze is going to be with you in the headstand pose. So again, this is what we do. We take the opposite pose and we take the one we also want. So again, you know what it feels like. And when I say roll your thighs in together or squeeze the thighs in together, you'll know what that means and you'll know what that feels like. So you can access it again later. Now, as you're doing this, are your feet just being kind of lazy or do they have a purpose here? A lot of people believe that headstand should be pointed toes. Other people believe they should be flexed feet. I sometimes do the middle part and do a floint, right? Part point, part flex. Spreading your toes or pointing the toes, but give the feet a purpose here. Again, feel it. Know how it feels. Our feet are the furthest away from our brain, and so they're very often forgotten and neglected. All right, release it. Return onto all fours. We're going to go into a downward facing dog. So you start with all fours, curl the toes, and we're going to draw the sit bones back and then up. Now, if you're a little bit tight in the hamstrings, you might have bent knees. You might have your feet pretty wide and open, and that's okay. As you get more comfortable in the pose, we can straighten the legs or alternate the straightening of the legs, bending one knee then the other. Call that walking the dog. Your head is about even between the arms, pressing out through the length of your fingers, like you're pushing the mat away from you, flat knuckles. Tailbone high. So here in down dog, we're also in a slight inversion, right? Our upper body is in a position that it normally isn't. It's upside down. So down dog is a great way to kind of prep the body for being upside down. It's also a pose that will strengthen your arms, your shoulders, and get you ready for the pose that way as well. From here, we're going to find our Uttanasana forward fold. So you can walk your feet forward or you can walk your hands backward. Both are fine. So in Uttanasana, in down dog, you are more of an angled upside down. And for Uttanasana, you're more vertical upside down. So this is a great training way of being upside down, right? So a lot of us are not used to being upside down. It's not a normal day-to-day pose we do. So that little blood rush into the head here, a little decompression of the spine. And of course, to get into and out of the pose, down dog and Uttanasana are great practices. All right. We're going to come halfway up. Press into the shins, lengthen. So if you're new to being upside down for a while, the little halfway up position is a great way to kind of avoid dizziness. Giving yourself a moment to kind of regulate. And then we return down to all fours. Okay. So for Dolphin Pose is another really, really great pose to help strengthen and prep you for supported headstand. Dolphin, our elbows are on the ground, and we have our forearms parallel to each other. And if you're you want to make sure, and this also goes for the headstand, you want to make sure that the elbows aren't out to the side, right? So one great way is that they're just under the shoulders, parallel arms. You can also just touch your opposite arm, a little grab, and that puts them at the right distance. And that's right, because if they're too far, you couldn't grab your arms, right? So you bring them in, little grab, little touch, and that's where you are. From there, curl the toes, just like down dog, except the elbows are down. Press. Now here, you want to really press out of the shoulders. So that same kind of feeling of pushing the ground away from you through the arms, right? Don't sink into the shoulders. Remember how we did those little shoulder push-ups earlier? Dolphin takes a lot of shoulder strength. You can come down anytime. To play with this a little bit, you might walk your feet a little closer toward the head, and you're going to feel how that shifts weight into your arms. And you can rock through the heels, right? Kind of rock forward in the toes, rock it back down toward the heels, and feel all of that work. And draw it down for a moment, just a little rest. Our child pose is always there for you. Child pose is great because when we go upside down for a while, sometimes it feels nice to sit up again and have that flush. Sometimes that causes a lot of dizziness and it does not feel good. People can feel a little nauseous. So when you come out of being upside down, if you're not quite used to it, a little child pose is a great kind of place to reset. Yeah. So another way to strengthen yourself to get ready for supported headstand is dolphin to dolphin plank and back again. So we'll start in the dolphin plank to get the measurement. So find your elbows down, hands down, fingers are forward, and we're going to let our legs straighten and the hips level. Now we want to kind of walk the feet just a little bit forward so your head goes a little forward, a little leaning forward in there. And exhale, press back into your dolphin. You don't have to move the feet if you don't want to. You can also walk the feet in each time you come here if that just feels better. And then walk them back again for your plank. So this is your inhale, dolphin plank, lean a little forward. Exhale, come back into dolphin. 2 more. Open and back. 1 more time. Open and back. And come down. Little child pose. So by now your shoulders and arms are feeling pretty warm, I bet. Okay, you have another, see, I think there's only one more prep I wanted to show you. Yeah. Okay, blanket slides. Now, I actually didn't try to do it on the carpet. It's better on a hard floor, right? But what we're going to do is you'll take your mat, and you'll fold it over a couple times. So you just have a little space. Then you're going to take your blanket. Towels work too. Fold it in half, so it's a small rectangle, and that's going to go a little bit behind you. Now this is going to be another way to build core, shoulder, arm strength, right? These are all the things you need for these inversions. And if supported headstand's not your thing, this can also be done for your handstands as well. You'll come down to the elbows. You're going to place your feet on your blanket. Now again, this would normally be done on a hard surface so that your blanket could slide, right? Like you're mopping your floor. So I don't think my blanket's going to slide, but pretend it was, okay? You're going to slide, the blanket out, and you're going to pull the blanket in, a little tuck, out and in, tuck. Now the bent knees is a little bit gentler. If you want more, you come up into your dolphin and dolphin plank. Dolphin, dolphin plank. My elbows are sliding a little bit and in, out, yeah? And come on down. So that is another really, really great way to do that. Whew. Strengthen everything here and get it all ready. Also good for strengthening your legs. You can do that with a handstand as well. Your hands down, not the elbows. You can do it with knees on the ground, right? So the version, it's a little bit softer, is the blanket under your knees, and you do your knees back and knees in, right? So you're not lifting so much up off the ground. So that's another variation of it. Okay, let's move into the actual pose, right? So first we'll talk about, let's see. Let's talk about our hands. So I'm going to come up here a little bit. You have a few positions with the hands you can do. There is the prayer hand, like this, and your head would go right at the inside of the wrist. You have the same thing, clasped, closed hands, where again your head comes up at the inside of the wrist, at the heel of the hand. And the third version is open bowl hand, right? And that's the one that kind of goes, kind of cups around the back of your head. So I want you to try each of those, and you're going to find the one that you like best. Remember, there's prayer, clasp, bowl, because it looks like a little bowl. Oh, there's my dog. Okay. It looks like a little bowl. Now, when you're doing the clasp, whether it's closed or open, this bottom pinky needs to tuck in, like that. If you're in prayer, it doesn't matter. But here, bottom pinky, because what's going to happen is that you have that bottom pinky just hanging out there. When you put all that weight into your arms, especially if you're on a hard surface, that bottom pinky is going to feel really crushed, and it's not going to feel good. It's going to feel painful. So that bottom pinky tucks in, and now see you have it's flat across the bottoms of the hands, or the sides of the hands here. See, it's one level. Nothing's being crushed right there. See, if it's closed, I think when it's closed, it doesn't do as much, right? Because you have a nice big grasp. You could tuck it when it's closed if you want to. Usually when it's open is when that tuck is really, really, really beneficial. Okay, so let's try all three without going all the way up, just like a dolphin. You can unfold your mat if you want to, or you can keep it the way it is for all that extra cushion, especially if you're on a hard surface. You're going to be at a wall. I forgot to say that earlier. Now you're at the wall. One of the mistakes that people make in this pose is they put themselves all the way into the wall. Really, they're using the wall as a crutch in the pose, and it's really not meant to be that. You're not meant to lean into it and kind of, crutch, like you just kind of, right? Like it supports all of you. We want this wall to be just a little prop, just a little support for us. So we don't go all the way into the wall, because that's also going to take away from your core strength. And we're trying to build up the core strength in the pose to get you up there on your own, your legs up and down without kicking on your own. The wall is only there to kind of catch you if you kind of go a little bit off balance, right? That's all. So I'm pretty comfortable in the pose. So I go pretty far away from the wall. I'm about, 2 feet maybe? I'm bad at measuring distance. But if you're a little bit more nervous or a little bit new to it, you could be about 6 inches, 6, 7 inches or so, like a whole hand length, finger to wrist, and then that's where you'd pull back, right? You don't want to be all up into the wall, right? You want to really develop your strength here. Okay. First one, measure out, right? Grab your arms, make sure that the elbows are not too far out. And when you're in the pose, when you're in your pose, be very, very mindful about the elbows slipping out to the side. It happens, and it's going to throw out your shoulder alignment a little bit. Keep it in. So you want to kind of press the forearms into the ground. You're going to press through the shoulders, and you want to have a tiny little active squeezing inward of the arms, right? They don't actually move. They're in that position, and you just have a little activated inward squeeze to help them not slide out to the side. Okay. So let's do prayer first and see how it feels. Prayer, closed hands. Measured, yes. We're going to just go into like a dolphin. So you're going to tuck your head under. Oh, no, don't go up yet. Don't go up yet. That tucking of the head, very important. You're bringing the very crown of your head into the floor. And the crown of the head is the very center, right? Top center of the head. Like if you pulled a string up through the top of your head from the body center, that's where it is. A lot of people get it mistaken with the back of the head. A lot of people put it up here in the front of the head for some reason. Top center of the head. And also, the name of this pose is so misleading sometimes because in actuality, there is very little weight in your head. Most of your body weight is in your arms and shoulders, okay? We are using our arms and shoulders and core to take the pressure from the head. Is there no pressure in the head? That's up to you. There are people who do headstand with no weight in the head. The head is only just barely touching the floor and there's no weight in it. Some people would just put about maybe 20% weight, 20% here, 80% all up here. And then no one should ever collapse the weight into the head, right? That's where we get those neck issues. So we want to keep everything really safe. So we're going to start again. Crown of the head on the ground. You're going to push through those arms. Don't feel heaviness in your head, right? And if you start to feel heaviness or pain in the head or neck, you're going to come out right away and kind of reassess. Maybe you don't try again and you wait till later, okay? I don't teach this class, I don't teach this pose in a normal class because it does take so much time to discuss and talk about and make sure that it is being done safely. People's egos get in the way a lot and people can get hurt, right? So it's going to take a lot of time for the beginner breakdowns. So I love about the beginner breakdowns. All right, measure, elbows, palms touch. First one, prayer hands. So here's that cat. Remember we did cat earlier? So you're going to pull in. There's that cat. You're going to push through the shoulders. There's that shoulder press. Now you're going to tuck your head and you're going to place the crown of your head right onto the mat and kind of nestle into the wrists. Yeah? So even just that can feel really weird and odd. And you could just hang out here as long as you wanted to. If you're feeling good, curl the toes. Find that little dolphin. Maybe the knees only lift a little bit and you feel like you have to come down. It's okay. And we have that dolphin. Shifting weight into the arms. I mean, you can rock a little bit if you want to. You might walk your feet closer. And we'll come down. So that was just for you to feel the hand position. Let's do a second one. Clasp. Clasp with closed hands. Closed. Let's do that one. Ooh, you know what? I do want to tuck my pinky finger there. Haha. Tuck in. Elbows. Closed, clasped. Round into that cat. Tuck. Bring your head in and nestle it into the crown of the head touches the floor. Curl toes. Lift. Right, you don't have to do this with me. You can always watch and then do it later. And down. And out. Okay. So last variation is the open bowl, right? Open palms. And this one is a little bit more nestly, but it does shift your weight forward a bit more because you've just taken away that space. You just take away about what, two inches? So you move your head forward into that bowl, so you lose about 2 inches. So it depends on how your body weight and your arm length and your neck length, everyone's different. Interlace, bottom pinky, tuck it in. Check those arms. Okay. Round, crown of the head. And again, just kind of nestle in. You want to feel your head kind of nestle gently into the hands. Crown of the head. Curl and lift. Yeah. Maybe walk a little bit closer. And down. So you can child pose it for a moment if you need to. We're going to upside down for a little bit. And so there's your 3 hand variations, and you can choose which one you like. You can change your mind in the middle. Maybe when you're all the way up into it, if you get up to it, then you'll be like, oh no, I don't like that. So There are some different ways to get up into the headstand, and I'll show you the different ways. What I believe is the best way is the piking, where you bring both feet up off the ground at the same time, and you bring them back down to the ground at the same time. Down is harder than up, I think, in headstand. But there are people that don't have quite the hamstring extension to get the legs straight like that. Yeah, so then that's where you have a knee tuck can be very beneficial. And also I've seen people who do a one leg and then the other. Okay, and that's fine. The big key to the headstand, and I really pet peeve is videos and teachers who don't do this, is that no kicking. Okay, really, really, really important. Do not kick into the pose. Okay, don't just kick and throw yourself into the wall and then plop yourself down. Horrible. Don't do that. That is the worst thing you can do. Again, this is a pose about strength, and yoga is that control, right? We are able to control and be connected to our breath and our body and what we're doing. And if you're just throwing yourself around, you don't have the control, right? Could you stop yourself at the very middle? No, now you're kicking around, right? This is control, this is strength. We're building the strength. So do not kick. No ego, right? Don't just feel like I have to get up there. You don't. Okay, develop the strength. It's going to be okay. Take your time. Be patient with yourself. All right. So let's go start. You can watch first. Okay. Measure. Choose your hands. I like the bowl. Bowl's my favorite. Some days I like the prayer. Just depends what it is really. Tuck, round. And a little dolphin. So I'll show you the tuck, the knee tuck. You would bring your bent knees into your chest. It's hard to do when I'm talking. And you can even just stay there. You might lift, and you might extend. And again, if you do extend, turn those thighs in, give those feet a purpose. And then you just come out the same way. Tuck in, and bring the feet down. And a little child pose, to help. And breathe. And cool. So there's your tuck in. I've also seen the tuck done with one knee tucking in and then the other and then extension, right? And that's fine. It has to be with control, no kicking, all control. So if you were to do that, one knee in, the other, and you can even just work that. Little toe taps. And remember, if you're afraid of falling, and that's one of the biggest things for arm balances, right? Any kind of balance is that we have that fear of falling. And an upside down one is pretty scary for some people. Handstands, I feel like, is easier to fall out of because you use cartwheel. A headstand is a bit harder to fall out of. I prefer doing headstands always with a wall because I don't like the backward falling. Side falling is a little bit easier on the headstand, but the back falling is a little bit tricky. So I just say wall. Wall, 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 wall. Right, this is beginner. This is beginner breakdown. We're not going to an advanced headstand. Wall. Right, you can always be a little closer to the wall. That's fine, but don't be crutching into the wall. Okay, so that was your knee tuck. Let's go pike, because pike is the hardest one, and I don't want to be gassed before I get to it if I did it last. Because pike is the hardest one, I feel like it is the best one. It is the safest one. It takes the most control and is the most revealing to you of where your body is in flexibility and strength, and that's good. It kind of shows you, tamps down the ego, shows you how much more work needs to be done. Yeah? All right. And nestle in here. So the piking, you're shifting your weight into the arms. Again, little weight in the head, very little, no pressure. Feet lift. Whoop. Whoop. So your talking's hard. And that's what the wall is there for. It just kind of catches you. But you also have to try and find your balance away from the wall. then you would pike back down. And of course, you can always come down faster if you need to, right? Let's say something starts hurting or you can't breathe. And down. And a little child pose. And down. Yeah, fun. And of course, I don't have the space for it with these walls, with the side wall here. But if you do get up into your headstand and you're comfortable up there, if you're just starting with headstands, try holding it up there just for 10 seconds. And that's it. Really, it's the up and down motion you really want to get control over, and then kind of start working on the, I can't say the word, sustaining the pose. So as you practice it on your own, maybe every morning, maybe every evening, maybe every morning and evening, 10 seconds to hold. And as you get comfortable, just add 5 seconds. So then 15 seconds. When you're comfortable, there's no time limit, right? Not a week, it could be 2 months, it could be 2 years. Another, then 20 seconds. Or did I jump ahead? Yeah, no, 20, and then 25, 30, right? The little debate, some people say don't hold it more than 3 minutes. Other people say you can hold it for 3 hours. So again, it's all up to you, your body. Trust your body. Yeah, no kicking. All right. Also, when you get up into it, let's say you're comfortable up there, you want to play up there, you're holding it longer than 10 seconds and so, you could do eagle legs, where you cross your legs over each other. You could do a cobbler legs, and the cobbler legs is like this, right up there. You could do straddles up there. You can kind of play, have them make it a little fun. All right, last variation. This is the one leg up and then the other. No kicking. This is the one where people tend to kick all the time, which again was that I like the plank or the piking up and down, because you can't kick when you're trying to bring both feet off the ground and down to the ground at the same time, right? There's no room for kicking. Coming up, one leg up. Now what that does is it's a little easier because it helps you kind of find your balance, and see that bottom foot can just sort of play. And I'm not kicking. I'm moving with absolute control. You hang out up there, and then you try to bring one leg down and touch. And guys, I think that's it. Yeah. So, oh wait, one more thing. Sorry, this is why I have notes, so I don't forget. The last thing I want to show you, this is something, if I really push into my shoulders, my head doesn't actually even touch the ground. I actually do have, if I don't have a blanket, I have to kind of not sink, but I have to lower into the pose a little bit, right? If you're like me and you have longer arms and a shorter neck, that's where the blanket comes in. So you take the blanket, and blankets and towels are very adjustable. So you can make this as high or as low as you need it to be, right? I'm just going to fold it over and have kind of a skinny little rectangle there, that little rectangle. I'm going to place that, and that's where my head is going to go now. Yeah? And my arms are going to be on the outside and under the blanket. So this is just a kind of cool option. If you tend to have, they could be on top too, but then it's a little bit uneven. So I'm going to find my little bowl hands, tuck in, and just as needed. The blanket can be over or under the hands. It's all good. Find it. Find my little tuck. So there's that way, and there's also, you could do it the other way. Put the blanket here. And you don't have to mess with any of that tucking, or the blanket being over or under the hands. And then the blanket finds that little nestle spot as well. Tuck in and lift. And I'm just going to do the one leg this time, just because it's just for an example. And this allows me to really push through the arms. And it gives my head a little bit of space. Some days I like it with that, some days not. Don't always have a blanket or a towel around, so it's good to learn how to do it without that as well. And yes, that is it. So, any questions? Feeling good? Okay, cool. Well, then thank you very much. And I hope you enjoyed this beginner breakdown.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.